And neither is the economy, possibly. We have more evidence of an improving economy. Steve Buden's here, our financial specialist, with the latest on a few things that are looking up.
Yeah, folks are always complaining that things are not good. Well, let's point out a couple of things that are before we get into what I know you want.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average, actually. It isn't too bad.
Doing well?
Okay, I mean, we bumped 13, went down a little bit, but we're holding our own right now.
Yeah, we are, and then this is a thing I've mentioned before where the stock market tends to be a forward-looking vehicle. So the fact that the stock market has had a pretty good start to the year, you know, hey, we'll take it. 13,000 on the Dow doesn't really mean anything other than psychologically, I think it's a good number for investors to see when they open their 401k statements, they open their investment statements, they see the balances are up. Maybe mentally they'll begin to feel better, and when they feel better, they'll spend, and maybe they'll come to Vegas.
Home sales. Now, pending home sales nationally are up. Around here, it's kind of up and down. It's starting to trend upward, but is that a good thing? Or, you know, a lot of people say now that the attorneys generals have basically settled all these lawsuits with the big banks, we may see a lot more foreclosures coming in.
Well, I hope that's the case. I mean, we need to get this inventory moved. I know I'm looking for a house right now, and the houses we're looking at are actually moving. I mean, there's offers being made, there's acceptances. The big problem, though, that I see still is funding. A lot of the deals that I'm seeing that go by me are cash.
Right.
So the banks really need to get through this foreclosure issue, and then they can start lending, and then you'll see the market really move. But again, this is the best number we've seen in 2 years, so we'll take it.
And we're hearing consumer sentiment is up. Now, is that something that we can actually measure, or is that like a poll?
Yeah, it's a little bit unreliable, but again, where we're seeing the surveys are showing that the average consumer is feeling a lot better now than he did or she did a year ago. These are very unscientific, so it's really tough to gauge how accurate they are. But if you're going to ask somebody, hey, how do you feel? And they're saying, I feel better now than I did a year ago, that's always a good sign. And most of the economy, as we've talked about, tends to be psychological. If people feel better, they'll tend to spend more money.
Expectations.
Yep.
But the expectation is that there's a lot more risk out there, and all you have to do is go fill up your gas tank.
Yeah, and that's the problem. The Social Security payroll tax cut that the president just signed is going to give the average person $40 in their paycheck, give or take.
Yeah,
that's now going into the gas pump.
Exactly.
So the challenge you see here is that the markets, like oil, move so much quicker than the politicians do when it comes to legislation. So how they can stay ahead of this oil issue is anybody's guess. I mean, in his defense, the president really can't do much on a day-to-day basis
and that's very true.
Gasoline prices.
But the question a lot of people have is, if you see let's say, okay, a barrel of oil right now is about $108. Okay, so prices are going up to allegedly match that.
Yep.
If it goes back down to, let's say, 98 or even 88, it's going to be a lot slower going down at the gas pump. Why?
I wish I knew. I don't own a gas station, but I know I have the same problem. When it goes up, it seems to be quick. Coming down, it's slow. But I think what I tend to see is a lot of the gas is purchased in advance. So you're locking in prices 2 or 3 weeks in advance. So for that price to drop, hey, that's what I hear.
Well, we got to go.
Believe it.
We'll bring up the dreaded word commodities next week.
We can talk about that, sure.
Steve, thanks.
All right.
Lisa?